Welcome to Landria on YouTube, here to help you break through fears and live an awesome life. Alright, so I got a couple viewer things. Let's talk about anything that you want to break away from. An addiction. Somebody said lust. It's no different than drinking, smoking, gossip, everything that you take into a negative space that you know is not for your benefit or others is just an addiction. So it's going to be handled exactly the same way. You know, smoking, drinking, eating, all that stuff is filling a void that you feel you have right now. And whatever personal addiction that you find floats your boat, so to speak, you have to go into it and focus on why that particular thing is feeding this void. What you feel there is about it that's feeding that material world that you're connecting to that is really disconnecting you from exactly who you are. See, when you go into that higher frequency, what is the higher frequency? Is when you go into a space without the ego, you let it go, you see no fault in anybody else, you still are a human being, still going to have feelings and joy, and you're going to still have the, you know, some pain. All those things are going to show up. That's okay. But when your intentions are good, and you know in your heart if what you're doing is for your best, highest self, because that affects all of us, then it's time to look at that. What is it you're feeling? What need are you fulfilling? So do you have low self-esteem? Overeating is obviously comfort in a world that you're feeling very uncomfortable with. And a lot of times people eat and go into that space so that they don't have to deal with the world. They can hide behind being overweight, right? They feel like they're lacking something, so they get comfort, especially if it was a family habit. Everybody's sitting around eating, that was love to them, you know? And they hide from the world and they make it okay in their little circle. Got to look at that. Smoking, you know, what about that? What about that whole thing are you getting something from? And you have to really take a close look at that. All right, so if it's a sexual addiction or whatever, that actually is one of the lowest frequencies. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, that's one of the lowest frequencies. So I want to talk about a viewer comment that goes into this category about gaming. And I said, anything that is gaming, that is violent, is an extremely low frequency, because not only is it a negative low frequency, but it's a game. It's not even you dealing with the world out here. So it's a false low frequency, you know, because you would never go out and shoot somebody, right? Hopefully. But you think it's easy to do it on a game, which makes it even worse. Right? When I say even worse, I don't mean that it's worse than going out and actually shooting somebody. I mean that it's worse brainwashing and conditioning, because if you had to go out in the real world, you would never do it, so you wouldn't go into that negative space. You would never do that, right? But you're allowing yourself to do it because you think it's not real. So the comment, I said that I felt that it was very negative. You have to stay away from that stuff, just like negative media, all this, all of it, all the politics, get away from it. It serves no good purpose. What are you gaining from that? It's false media anyways. It's all made up garbage. It's whatever they can get you to look at, especially if it irritates you, right? So the gaming, that comment was, this is a generation gap. Oh, that's a good one. This is a generation gap because they're being trained to have survival skills and battle skills, basically. Let me just share something with you. There is no generation gap with our violence. We've been killing each other, whether it's on a game or in real life, since the beginning of time. And if my generation was, actually this was before my generation, was in Vietnam, and my grandparents' generation was in World War II, violence is violence. And playing games with guns with children is reinforcing the same violent world that we have continued to perpetuate. I'm not here to say what war was valid and what wasn't. It's a different world now. We have high-tech weapons that will allow us to never have to go into the kind of battles that we had to before. But we also have more powerful weapons that can destroy the entire planet with one push of a button. How advanced is that? There is no survival mode that you need to learn unless you are creating a reality for yourself that says that's the world you live in. So when you're doing that, you're creating that earth that functions in a survival, violent mode that needs to prepare for it. That's not my world, and that's not the new earth. That split is going to place you down here in the third dimension, lower frequency, that feels that it has to prepare for that because that's the world and earth you will live in. This frequency and those who understand that even if we have the residuals of all the negativity that we've brought forward, that we will not focus on that, and that our focus is on creating the new one. You know, I have this game that I used to do. You had to meditate and get your breathing and your energy to a point so that you can open up gateways to beautiful paradises and do positive things, magical things. And then you had to find keys and go around. It made you actually feel good. It was actually training you to raise your frequency. How beautiful is that? You can't tell me that you can't play that game and prepare for that world. No excuses. There's nothing to prepare for. You're creating that. Prepare for what you want to experience and accept the fact that we came here on a mission and there's a lot of stuff going on that we cannot explain. But you control your own reality. I promise you that. You truly do. You are not a victim. The other thing people say is, well, you don't know, Landria, what I've had to deal with. I don't have to know. We've all experienced what you've experienced. All of us have had to go to the darkest depths of hell and have the opportunity to raise our frequency back to what we truly are. And it's all just experiencing itself. So you are not being singled out. You are not being picked on. You are not having some separate entity punish you. You are not a victim. You are taking on a beautiful challenge that is allowing you to become something greater and show that it can be done. Look at what did Christ and all the prophets do. They showed that no matter what situation you were in, you can make a higher choice. I'm sorry, there is nothing else. You get to choose. What choice, what reality, what life are you going to choose? The split has already happened. We're on it. You know if you're in it or not. And if you're not, it's never too late. It's not too late. You can get rid of that negative thinking, that self-limiting beliefs. That's a part of that matrix that you've been told. You've been brainwashed. I'm sorry. It comes with our energy. And you can choose to embrace your limitless self and put down all of the stuff that you'll tell yourself that you need to learn. You don't need to learn any of that. You have powers beyond your imagination, and no weapon can help you get through that. You're beautiful and perfect, and if those people that choose that, I bless them. That's their journey. I am not here to change that. Everybody gets to choose how they live their life. There will be a cause and effect for everything. That's the bottom line. So ask yourself what the effect is from whatever it is you're doing. And what's the belief behind it that's causing you to act a certain way that's creating those effects. So if you don't like the effect, it's time to change your actions, which is your cause, and ask yourself what new belief you have to put in place that's going to change all of that. It's not easy to do. We've been told things. I guarantee you 99% of everything that you believe came from somebody else. It wasn't yours. And maybe there's that 1% that you got from something powerful. But most of it comes from this planetary, limited thinking. And that's not you. When do you stop believing that? When do you stop preparing for something negative? You're creating it. Not in my world. I know you're ready for the new earth. You're worthy. You are perfect. You are an energy. Maybe humans aren't perfect, but you aren't a human. You are an energy, acting out a role. Don't take it so seriously. Lighten up, have some fun, give, and see everybody else as the same energy that you are. Can you get past that? And I have a question for you. If the one is us, and we are one, how can you ever fault somebody else? How can you ever not love somebody else for being a different color, a different culture, a different education, different income? How can you ever not love that person and accept the fact that maybe you don't like what they're doing, but guess what? They're still an expression of the one. They are you expressing itself in a different way. And they may not approve of you, and that's okay. Be your best. Just be your best. And you know what that is. There's no generation gap here, my friend. We're all on this planet together, young, old, technology, no technology. And we get to choose if we have a peaceful message and reality that we choose, or a negative one. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings, my friend. Namaste.